from the Reichstag, the heart and soul of Nazi Germany.
There were 3 flags. The first was carried by Sergeant Piatnitsky, who was killed on the steps of the Reichstag. It was picked up by another soldier. The second flag was carried by Lieutenant Sorokin and his men. And the last one was of our battalion.
Just before 11 p.m. on the 30th of April 1945, the capital of Hitler's Third Reich is officially under a Russian flag. But the biggest war in history is not over yet. It is May the 1st, 1945. 7 days to victory. Hitler is dead. Berlin has fallen to the communists in time for May Day. The city has yet to officially surrender, but there is only one question on everyone's mind. Could this be the end of the war?
Dass unser Führer Adolf Hitler heute Nachmittag in seinem Befehlsstand in der Reichskanzlei bis zum letzten Atemzuge gegen den Bolschewismus kämpft, mit dem Willen, den
Mutter,
gegen die Bolschewisten
der Führer
so
ist
lange
tot.
fortzusetzen.
Es ist aus. Der Krieg ist aus, nicht wahr?
Grand Admiral Dönitz, Hitler's successor, issues a communique to the nation, saying that it is his duty to save them from the communists. He orders the utmost resistance.
I had no future. I remember I was standing there and I thought, I never will laugh again. This was my feeling. And I didn't know what will come, what kind of future can I have. I was really helpless.
Well, as soon as the news of Hitler's death reaches the Allies, they concentrate all their efforts on negotiating an unconditional surrender with his successor, Grand Admiral Dönitz. But Dönitz can't be contacted, and in any case, he's only interested in surrendering to the Western Allies so as to save as much of Germany as possible from Russian occupation.
In Hitler's bunker 15 meters below the ruins of Berlin, German Chief of Staff General Krebs has just been to see the Russian commander, General Zhukov, for the second time to request a ceasefire. Zhukov rejected him. He will only accept an unconditional surrender of all German forces. Krebs cannot conceive of being taken alive by the Soviets. Suicide is the only option. Only a few now remain in the bunker. Hitler's telephone operator, Roke Smish, is one of them.
Even though I was tired and numb, and I didn't care what happened, I pulled out a pistol in case I had to shoot myself.
Well,
if you see all this death, Hitler dead, Eva Braun dead, Krebs dead, you become indifferent. I could not leave my post. I was a soldier, I had to stay here. If I ran away, they would shoot me as a deserter.
Even after Hitler's death, reports keep coming in of SS troops gathering at Berchtesgaden in the Bavarian Alps. Paratrooper Clancy Lyle and Easy Company are on their way to engage these hardened Nazi forces. They pass scores of defeated German troops, trying to make their way to the west.
Even coming down the shorter roads, nothing but mass Germans surrendered, marching in lockstep down the road. Quite a few. That was a good sight. I mean, as far as you could see was Germans.
The Nazi Empire is spiraling into chaos. Everywhere, German forces are trying to secure a separate peace with the Western Allies. They simply cannot face surrendering to the Russians, whom they consider inferior and who will no doubt torture them and condemn them to hard labor in Siberia.
They didn't want the Russians because, you know, what they did, they knew what happened in Russia. They did horrific things to Russia. So if I was a Russian, I'd be damn sure I was going to do some damage to them too. All of them.
The 2nd of May, 6 days to victory. The Allies receive news that the Russian army has taken Rostock on the Baltic. They are rapidly closing in on Denmark, from where they can control the entire region. Now it isn't just a matter of ending the war, it's how it will end. The next few days will determine the shape of Europe for generations to come.
Churchill receives reports of parachutists landing in the vicinity of Copenhagen. And for this reason, he's absolutely desperate for Montgomery to get to the Baltic first, so as to stop the Russians getting into Denmark.
On the 2nd of May, Montgomery's forces take the city of Hamburg. Commando Cliff Morris and his comrades are making the final push to Denmark. British forces finally reach the Baltic and seal off the Danish peninsula a mere 6 hours before the Russians get there. The Western Allies have kept the Soviets out of Denmark and northwest Germany.
Montgomery quickly establishes an eastern flank from the Baltic to the Elbe. The roads around here, of course, are crowded with thousands of troops and refugees pouring towards the west, trying to escape the Russian advance. British forces meet whole German units, complete with arms and equipment, trying to surrender. And during the 2nd and 3rd of May, Montgomery's men take 500,000 prisoners.
At 3 p.m. on the same day, the Berlin garrison finally surrenders unconditionally to the Red Army. The ferocious 2-week battle for the German capital has cost the Russians over 300,000 casualties. The Germans suffer well over 100,000 dead and injured, with a further 480,000 taken prisoner. Beneath the carnage in Hitler's bunker, only a skeleton crew remain. They include the Nazi propaganda minister Josef Goebbels, the bunker's engineer, and the telephonist Rochus Misch.
We were the last government, as it were, the three of us. It was over. I said to Goebbels, "What is there left to do?" He then said I could go. We knew how to live, so we will also know how to die. So then I pulled out all the cables, everything in sockets, and nobody could reach us anymore.
Rochus Misch then finally leaves the coffin-like bunker for the last time. A few minutes later, Goebbels shoots himself. His wife has already poisoned their 6 children and then killed herself. The bunker has become a ghastly testimonial to the Nazis' evil madness. That same afternoon, Montgomery finally receives the message he's long been waiting for. The commander of all northern German forces facing him is prepared to surrender. Montgomery might think the war is finished, but it's not over yet for paratrooper Clancy Lyle and Easy Company. They approach the mountains, uncertain about what might be waiting for them.
I didn't know if any time they're going to come out of the mountains. And they know the mountains are Alpine troops, number one. Number two, they know where every little hole is. So it's like real warfare. You don't know till you step on it, right? So I always stayed in my mind. You walk down the street, you got 9 eyes all around the place. I've still got back in my mind what I'm going to face, what I thought I was going to face anyway. We was briefed that we was going to take these people on.
Third of May, 5 days to victory. For the most part, the Russians have left the suburbs for the center of Berlin. Gerda and her family venture back to their apartment. Nothing can prepare them for what the Russians have done to their home.
believe it. The bathroom, the bath was filled. My sister said, I can't live here anymore. Her sleeping room was full of candle lights. The baby bed was damaged and all full of. You can't believe it.
But Berlin is not the only city that's been sacrificed to the Red Army.
Down in Czechoslovakia, meanwhile, the Germans are still fiercely resisting Russian attacks in both the north and the east. And General Patton's US Third Army threatens to attack from the west. Patton, of course, wants to liberate Prague, but the American Chief of Staff, General Marshall, tells Eisenhower to leave Prague to the Russians. Of course, another decision which will haunt Eisenhower for years to come.
Just before 11 p.m. on the 30th of April 1945, the capital of Hitler's Third Reich is officially under a Russian flag. But the biggest war in history is not over yet. It is May the 1st, 1940.
I remember I was standing there and I thought, I never will laugh again. This was my feeling. And I didn't know what will come, what kind of future can I have. I was really helped.
Mutter, der Führer ist tot. Es ist aus. Der Krieg ist aus, nicht wahr?
Grand Admiral Dönitz, Hitler's successor, issues a communique to the nation, saying that it is his duty to save them from the communists. He orders the utmost resistance.
I had no future.
From the Reichstag, the heart and soul of Nazi Germany.
There were 3 flags. The first was carried by Sergeant Pyatnitsky, who was killed on the steps of the Reichstag. It was picked up by another soldier. The second flag was carried by Lieutenant Sorokin and his men. And the last one was of our battalion.
25. 7 days to victory. Hitler is dead. Berlin has fallen to the communists in time for May Day. The city has yet to officially surrender. But there is only one question on everyone's mind. Could this be the end of the war?
Dass unser Führer Adolf Hitler heute Nachmittag in seinem Befehlsstand in der Reichskanzlei bis zum letzten Atemzuge gegen den Bolschewismus